And like, I think because music has become much easier to make, and it's as easy as it's ever been to have the chance to like make it in the music industry or to actually like release music.
Yeah.
But so there are more people than ever making music, trying to gain access to this industry. And then there becomes a whole secondary industry of people who are managers who want to be marketers or whatever.
Mhm.
But even whether it's ignorance or they think they're like above learning these things, because I think there's a small amount of musicians who, because they think they're talented, they're above learning how to do this. They don't need to market. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to play free shows. And
Yeah.
so it's just there's a lot of bullshit that we need to help folks cut
There
through.
there is, and there's a time, and there's ego then involved. You know what I mean? And I also think too, like artists are almost all artists are creatives, and creatives think creatively. You know what I mean? Out of the box, which means sometimes like the logical steps, right? What seems like logical business steps, they're like out of the box thinking like we can put the pieces together like this. And it's like
Mhm.
we got to go back. Like that's where you get a team. But
Yeah.
yeah, the artist ego sometimes has to be settled before it can receive information.
And that's a tricky tightrope to walk too. And I started in the music like from the artist side, like booking my own shows up in New Hampshire. So like there wasn't much going on. So like trying to book a show wasn't necessarily easy. And like we never did anything super big, but like I learned how to go to a studio, make a decent sounding song, learned how to book a show, play a show, figure out how to make money, like the small things. So I'm coming from the artist perspective, and over time I kind of just gravitated more toward the business. And now I have like the luxury of hindsight going back, I should have done this, I should have done that.
Yeah, yeah,
Now that I have the business perspective.
yeah.
Um, but it is interesting now that I am more on the business side than I am artist. Like I've removed the emotion and my ego from like my former music business. And it's so clear to be like, oh, I should have done this. Like I was an idiot. Like I should have done that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should have done this. And that is a tightrope to walk. Like, at what point do you think ego, because like you need some sort of ego to make this music and put yourself out there in the first place, but at what point is it like too much?
Yeah, ooh, I mean, gosh, that's a deep question, right? Like, how much is too much ego? Um, yeah, and I think something that is important to remember, and something that we talk a lot about in our household, is like there's the artist and there's the person. And the ego comes when the artist is performing, right? Or in business transactions, right? Like when I am like teaching, I'm performing and I need to be, right? That's like what I'm up there to do is like that, capture people's attention, hold their attention. When you're performing, you have to hold attention. Like there is some ego, like you said, that needs to be in there to keep that and want that in the first place, but then keep that attention. And then, but if your ego is stopping you from growing, I think that's where it becomes an issue, if it hinders your growth. And I think it can sneak up and do that really quickly for people, and in
Yeah, big
many,
time.
many different ways.
I think when I was like 18, 19, the group I was in, this was like even before Instagram, like it was
Okay.
only Facebook, like and SoundCloud, and like that's like it, and YouTube.
Okay.
And so we had a couple videos get like, two or 300,000 hits on YouTube, which in New Hampshire was like a lot. And we were
Wow.
all on this bubble college campus. And man, let me tell you how quickly that ego went to my head, where
Oh,
like
sure.
in literally like in a matter of 3 or 4 months, we went from like no one knowing us at all to like having a semi-viral video locally.
Yeah, yeah.
And um, and then like because I'm 18, I'm walking around like I think I'm the shit now because like the artist had like success, but like the person, I'm still just a kid in going to English class at school. And it was really hard to like have both. And I definitely struggled. And sometimes like that ego creeped up and I was like, no way. You know me, you've seen my video. Like I definitely did that and like thought that there were definitely moments where like I convinced myself that I was like entitled to some sort of like special treatment or like something just dumb because I'm dumb. I'm 18. I'm getting a little bit of success where people who like don't know me personally know my music, and it like all went to my head so quick. So
and the
quick.
reality is it's fun, and if you know what I mean, and it is something too. I think like you have to play in that space a little bit of like who your performance character is and who that artist is. And man, people want that from artists though. Like when we are out, like when we're out, like because I know Teddy, because he's my husband and an artist, like people want the Teddy beats. They want the DJ who like wants to party and like go hard. And it's like, yeah, that's really like fun, but it's like that's not appropriate everywhere too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but people expect that from artists. So I think of like really, you know what I mean? Like Drake, like he's out, people want that from him all the time. Like, of course your ego's gonna creep up. Like people are seeking that out of you, like seeking that performer piece out all the time. So it's hard, but I think, you know, find a strong team, find a strong support that you can check that with and balance that. But it's also a fun space to play in too. Like it's fun to like have all eyes and attention on you. Like I like that. Who doesn't like that at times? Like, and like enjoy it. I think artists should enjoy it. Like enjoy it when you're performing. Enjoy it when you're meeting people. And then when you're off the stage and walking out the door, make sure you thank every one of that staff who made that event possible for you. And then you're done. And then you know what I mean? You're back to you. But, you know, every personality is different too. So some people don't have that self-regulation to bring that ego.
Well, absolutely. And I think having someone that you trust in your team somewhere, or whether it's your mom or whoever it is, being open to hearing that, like, would have done me some good. But
not everyone wants to hear it either. You know, people are at different spaces in that mindfulness, you know what I mean? And like their even recognition of having an ego. Some people don't even realize they have an ego, and it's just their way of navigating the world. And it's just, those aren't people I choose to work with, you know?
Yeah. Well, and then the thing is, like, one of the things I struggled with back then was maybe even if I was starting to think, hey, like maybe I shouldn't do that. The thing was, when I applied that to music, it worked. It was I was playing shows. I was making a few $1,000s as an 18-year-old, like playing my own music. So like in a way I was kind of like, no, like I'm right. Like I should continue to be this douche. Like, and it was this weird, because like the thing was like in a college bubble environment, like it was like Friday through Monday morning, I was like this artist, fun, partier guy. And then Monday I'm in your class. And now like when I just want to kind of be Elliot, you expect the party guy to be in there. And it was this like weird, I didn't necessarily know it at the time, but in hindsight, I can totally see where I was having this like constant like identity crisis of like, well, Monday and Tuesday I'm Elliot, and then on the weekend I'm this like artist dude playing shows, and then like somewhere in between, it was such a mess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people now, just through like, even I see like Instagram versus reality. I think now like a lot of people are seeing like a shift between like maybe their lens and what they're showing, and then versus what they're feeling. So I think like it's an interesting topic, you know what I mean? And also to think about like, then artists have the performance side with ego to drive too. But yeah. Okay, so what brought your ego down?
Eventually, I just realized that I was being an asshole. Like, not like all the time, but like here and there. And I was just like, eventually it becomes a pattern. And, binge drinking like an idiot didn't help back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually I kind of realized, I was like, well, even if I'm the most talented artist on the planet, people still don't want to talk to me if I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And like eventually that clicked, and it kind of, once it clicked, I think I rapidly tried to like, or I was at least just conscious of it, and I changed my behavior because of it, and I like stopped drinking so much.
Yeah.
But I think like a lot of the damage was like done in this small bubble environment where like you brush people the wrong way a few times, and just like now I'm like that douche who makes music because I was an asshole, and they saw it or whatever. And it's interesting because like now to this day, I know to certain people I'm still like that guy, and it like sucks because like I know I'm like they probably have a right to like think I was an asshole when I was 19, but like now that was 11 years ago, so like it's just interesting because like I don't necessarily care because I've changed, but like at the same time I'm just aware of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting too to like look back and be like, oh, like I'm a very different person then versus now, and like people just still
Yeah.
see you in that bubble. But it is important, right? Like how like people definitely like remember how you like interact when you're at a show.
Yeah, big time.